Hey guys, wanted to bring you another YouTube video about James Harden and the Houston Rockets, 76ers update, the Brooklyn Nets, pretty much everything about James Harden and the Rockets relationship and where things stand. So right now, it looks like the Houston Rockets are willing to keep James Harden and Russell Westbrook to make things uncomfortable, or willing to go have an uncomfortable culture right now, you could say, because obviously there's a lot of talks of people, the Nets and the 76ers targeting James Harden, and James Harden has been targeting the Brooklyn Nets. So here's my thoughts about the whole situation. Like I said, I was one of the first ones that brought up, hey, we can't run this again because it's like doing the same thing over and over again. It's not going to work. I mean, they got eliminated in the second round. They went all in for Russell Westbrook. Now, I understand they leverage a lot of their draft picks to Oklahoma City. And they also tried to make James Harden happy and tried to show, hey, we're going for a championship here. We've been trying to build a championship. Now, I understand he is frustrated and that he lost Daryl Morey, longest GM supporter that brought him over to Houston, believed in him early on, and thought this is a franchise player. So the other thing he lost was Mike D'Antoni, and apparently that's another thing that helped his career, was Mike D'Antoni actually made him even better. So those two guys actually helped his career. Now, I don't blame him why he would like to play for Brooklyn, because Mike D'Antoni is assistant coach for Steve Nash. Makes sense. Definitely understandable, because you usually want to work for someone or work with someone that you believe in and that relationship. So it's a familiar face. Definitely understand if he wants to go 76ers, because Daryl Morey, again, wants him. So those are the two spots. Not surprised there because of the relationship there. Now, what I am surprised is that I don't see how and what they could try to give back. So let me explain. The Brooklyn Nets, pretty much they have to give the whole farm or the whole roster and a lot of draft picks, because Drew Holiday got traded yesterday for some players, and which they're not the worst players, but like I said, some nice role players, and 3 draft picks. So if you think about it, if Drew Holiday could fetch for that amount, you would think that LeVert, Spencer Dinwiddie, Jarrett Allen, pretty much whoever you want to name off the Nets roster, besides Kevin Durant or Kyrie Irving, is who the Rockets would be able to get, or that the Nets would be willing to offer. And you need to at least have, I would say, 4 draft picks or more. Again, because of what Holiday was able to fetch. I would say you're going to want as much as Anthony Davis trade or more. Because, again, you don't have the draft picks. You're going to need to rebuild eventually. And, again, James Harden is going to fetch you the most draft picks or rebuild mode at this point. Now, as much, so I don't know, I mean, again, there's no MVP player on the Nets. There's not enough talent, I think. There's enough good role players there. But as much as the role players, again, the Nets got into the playoffs in the East, but it's the East. Even with that roster, you're not going to get far in the West. You're not going to make it to the playoffs. Again, you don't want to be stuck in the middle of the pack. You don't, but the problem is you don't have any draft pick, even if you wanted to tank to get that bad, because you don't own your draft pick. So, again, you want to be competing at this point until you start owning your own draft pick, I would say. So I understand I would keep James Harden and Russell Westbrook if you can't get anything significant at this point. Again, I wouldn't mind if I could get for Russell Westbrook. I'm hearing John Wall at this point. You know what? If we think he could recover, I'll take that. I think he is younger. Now, that type of injury is pretty tough to recover. So the other thing I heard, and again, I only want to bring actual research and facts that I've heard. And so the only, I'll just touch base might be because I don't know what James Harden and Russell Westbrook and Tillman Fertitta, his political views. So again, those three, because like I said, it seems like everything now these days is related to politics. And so I don't know if because those two have different political views than Tillman, and so that's maybe why there's some difference in the direction of the future. Again, that's one of the things that you don't want to talk about politics at work, and you gotta think about it. It's work and business also, and so I think it's again. James Harden and Russell Westbrook, that's their boss in that sense. So if you don't, now I understand if you don't agree with the direction of the franchise on competing for a championship. Yes, I definitely understand if you don't agree with what happened with Mike D'Antoni and Daryl Morey leaving in that sense. But if it's about politics and that's why you want to get traded, then I'm not sure about that, because that's, again, you're trying to compete and win championships. You have a window. I know right now it would be difficult. Again, you just made that Robert Covington trade, which I don't think is the worst trade, because at least now you got some draft picks, get a little bit younger, and hope you could develop whoever you're getting. I mean, you're picking around where Giannis was picked at. So there is hope. There's been some nice late draft picks. You got to be able, hopefully, because you didn't have any drafts coming into this for tomorrow, that your scouting department actually scouted these players where you're going to be drafting. So hopefully they did their homework and are ready to draft a pretty good solid talent player to help the team. Now, usually teams do want to try to trade during the draft, so we don't know if any big players are going to be moved. Again, if they were going to make any trades, like I said, I would try to work as much as you could to trade Russell Westbrook, and then see what pieces you could get. Draft picks would definitely help. It would be back to James Harden's team. Yeah, I think it would make a great career move for James Harden, personally, for him to go east if he wanted. But then you don't have any leverage at this point. You have 2 years left on your contract. And so, and it kind of says a lot of things, because that kind of says there's a lot of issues if James Harden is willing to turn down 2 years extra extension for $103 million. He would have been the first player to make over $50 million per year after his current contract expires. So that's a lot of money to turn down, $103 million. And you got to think about, there's no state income tax in Houston. So for him to turn that down and to go to one of the most expensive state to play in Brooklyn kind of says a lot. So there must be some big issues for him to make him want to go. I don't even see how the Nets will work, because there's some flaws with those three players. Kevin Durant, I don't know if he's mentally capable of leading a team, because he has burner accounts and stuff like that. I feel like he spends so much time on social media on that sense. or worry about what people think. And then you got Kyrie Irving. He's willing to say whatever's on his mind, even throwing other people or teammates under the bus in the past. And so the other issue is that there's also reports from Chris Broussard from Fox Sports that said he's already hearing that, yeah, Kevin Durant and James Harden worked out in Los Angeles, but I don't think he talked to Kyrie Irving, or Kyrie Irving is already not expressing the same joy. It doesn't sound like he wants James Harden because, again, they're almost a similar player. Difference is James Harden's left-handed and Kyrie Irving is right-handed. I think Kevin Durant could make it work because he did it with the Warriors. He is very efficient with his shots and stuff. But I just don't see how the other two can coexist or adjust. So I just don't see how that team will work. It would be great drama because you're going to get great entertainment there because Kyrie Irving's going I would say over or under. I say probably 1 game or 2 games at most that he's going to hate playing with James Harden because one of the three, because every time there's a big three, someone always had to take a back seat or a reduced role. Like, good example, Chris Bosh, Kevin Love. Those two with James Harden or LeBron James obviously made sense. So, and all three of them did different things. So, again, I just don't see how Kyrie Irving out of those three would be willing to take a back seat, especially when he thought he was going to Brooklyn with Kevin Durant, thinking, this is our team. I'm Batman and Robin together. We're going to win a championship that way, just like how LeBron James and Anthony Davis won it together. So I just don't see how that one works out. Again, I think a better fit for him, again, not working for the Rockets, but I think if James Harden was able to get to Philadelphia and have Joel Embiid, I think that those 1-2 punch would be better, and then keep those role players. But again, the issue is they're probably going to have to get rid of Ben Simmons for James Harden if that was the trade, and then some draft picks, and then also some role players that the Rockets would want. I don't know if the Rockets would want to fetch for that. That's another thing with the owner of the Houston Rockets, Tillman, want to help his former GM to get better. Does he want to help them win a championship in that sense? Because, like I said, the path to the East to get to the finals is a lot easier than the West. So there's a lot of issues there. And then you got Steve Nash. It's going to be his first year. And then you're Mike D'Antoni, then Amari Stoudemire, I believe, is on his assistant coach staff. So, I mean, as a fan, if I wasn't a Houston Rockets fan, and I think a lot of the league wants to see this, is to see James Harden go to Brooklyn, especially with that new owner from Alibaba. I can't remember his name, Sai, I can think. And I think that could be one way to bring basketball back to China in that sense, if they want to get back to expand their market again. But again, I don't see how that would be a team that could work with chemistry. Again, I just don't really see it with the Nets. But as a fan, if you want to see that, it would be interesting to see. I don't think there's ever been 3 top 10 players in scoring on the same team in that sense. So yeah, I for me at this point for the Rockets, I would be asking the farm. You gotta ask and stand still because you have all the leverage, I believe. I don't think James Harden have any leverage. Fine, if you're going to throw a stink about it, fine. Same for Russell Westbrook. I mean, during game days, you don't have to go there. You just write the check. You guys got to show up. I think if you sit out, fine, you're not getting paid. Again, it's a job that they're trying to build a championship team still, it sounds like, or a contending team. In reality, we know they're probably not going to be able to win a championship because they need more around them. But eventually, yes, they will have to rebuild. If it's going to be this year, that's fine, but you're going to have to get a lot of draft picks for either of the players. Again, Russell Westbrook would be a lot harder, but if you could, that would be great. So, again, go ahead and like, share, comment, and subscribe. If you stayed through this, you're the most valuable audience to stay through this. And again, I do appreciate all the support. And go ahead and subscribe so you get more new videos. We always post every Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. And extra videos if we can fit them in between or anything special. And so again, definitely appreciate you guys supporting and sticking through. And again, together we could build a better tomorrow. And so I do appreciate that. Thanks.